Stop escaping reality. Learn to master it. There is a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you realize that you are no longer fully present in your own life, that days pass without depth, that emotions are dulled, that time moves quickly but meaning feels distant, and in that moment you may not call it escape, but that is exactly what it is. Because escape rarely looks dramatic. It looks like scrolling when you feel uncomfortable. It looks like constant entertainment when silence appears. It looks like dreaming about a different life instead of engaging with the one you are living. And the most dangerous part is this: it works. At least temporarily. Think about this for a moment. How often do you reach for distraction, not because you are tired, but because you don't want to feel what is already there? How often do you numb instead of notice? Now ask yourself honestly, what part of reality are you avoiding right now? Because here's what no one tells you. Escaping reality doesn't remove pain. It postpones it. And when postponed long enough, pain transforms into something deeper: confusion, apathy, a quiet loss of direction. Carl Jung believed that whatever we refuse to face within ourselves does not disappear, but returns in disguised forms, often as anxiety, compulsions, or patterns we don't understand. And modern escape culture provides endless disguises that keep us busy while preventing integration. Napoleon Hill described this tendency as drifting, the habit of allowing life to happen to us instead of consciously directing it, choosing short-term comfort over long-term purpose, and mistaking passivity for peace. And drifting feels harmless until you wake up one day and realize you are far from who you could have been. Viktor Frankl observed that humans can endure almost any hardship if they perceive meaning in it. But what breaks us is not struggle, it is the absence of meaning. And escape erodes meaning by disconnecting us from responsibility. Responsibility is not a burden, it is the source of dignity. Friedrich Nietzsche warned that a life without challenge, without confrontation, without tension, leads not to happiness, but to stagnation. Because growth requires resistance, and resistance requires engagement with reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. But here's the paradox. We escape reality because it feels overwhelming. Yet the more we escape, the weaker we become. And the weaker we become, the more overwhelming reality feels. So the cycle continues. Alan Watts often spoke about how modern humans are constantly trying to escape the present moment, chasing future happiness, reliving the past, or numbing themselves in between. Forgetting that life is not something that happens later, but something that is happening now. Reality is not the enemy. Avoidance is... Now, pause here. Look at your own patterns. Where do you disappear when life becomes uncomfortable? What do you reach for when silence arrives? Because mastery does not begin by changing the world. It begins by staying. Staying with discomfort. Staying with uncertainty. Staying with yourself. Carl Jung believed that the process of individuation, becoming a whole, integrated self, requires turning toward what we avoid, especially the shadow. The parts of us we have rejected, suppressed, or numbed through distraction. When you escape, the shadow grows stronger. When you face it, it transforms. Napoleon Hill emphasized that thought is the starting point of all achievement, meaning that mastery begins internally with discipline of attention, clarity of intention, and conscious choice, not with external control. Mastery is not domination, it is alignment. Viktor Frankl believed that even in the most restrictive circumstances, we retain the freedom to choose our response. And that choice, small, internal, often unseen, is where human power resides. You may not control everything in your life, but you always control whether you meet it consciously or unconsciously. And here's the turning point. Reality does not demand perfection. It demands presence. You do not need to fix everything. You need to stop running. Because the moment you stop escaping, something unexpected happens, reality becomes workable. Not easy, but workable. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of amore fati, the love of one's fate, not as passive acceptance, but as active engagement. The willingness to say yes to life as it is, including its difficulty, and to transform struggle into strength. Alan Watts would remind us that fighting reality creates suffering, but participating in it creates flow. And participation requires courage. It requires feeling what you've been avoiding. It requires responsibility without guarantee. It requires choosing growth over numbness. Now ask yourself something important. What would change if you stopped escaping for just 1 week? If you stayed present during discomfort? If you allowed boredom to speak? If you listened to the quiet signals you've been drowning out? Because mastery is not about becoming invincible. It is about becoming intimate with reality. Carl Jung believed that consciousness expands when we bring awareness to what was previously unconscious. And every moment you choose presence over escape, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Napoleon Hill would say that definiteness of purpose emerges when drifting ends. Viktor Frankl would say that meaning reveals itself when responsibility is accepted. And you don't need a dramatic transformation. You need a series of small returns. Returning to your breath. Returning to your body. Returning to the present moment. Returning to responsibility. Reality is not here to punish you. It is here to shape you. And the life you want is not found in escape. It is built through mastery. Quietly. Deliberately. Moment by moment. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Becoming You and keep growing with us. And if you watched until the end, comment the word presence and share your thoughts below. Because the moment you stop escaping is the moment your life truly begins.